about the fact that Democrats have been labeling President Trump a to democracy for the better half of 10 years. Let's talk about how they have compared him to one of the worst mass in the history of the world, and that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden weaponized the court system and the justice system in this country against Donald Trump in an attempt to imprison him. He sat through a courthouse for 7 weeks this past year, and the Democrats were hoping he would go to jail for it. That is real political that has led to two heinous attempts on President Trump's life that, by the grace of God, he was able to escape, and he is here with us today. So yes, President Trump knows a little bit about political because he's experienced it himself. And talking about the tragic realities of war that Liz Cheney and her father Dick Cheney have got this country into is not political. It's talking about the reality of the foreign conflicts that the Washington, D.C. establishment have sold out young.
This time, Joy Behar truly went too far, and there's no going back. In a recent episode of The View, she surprised viewers with a remark that sparked accusations of obvious misogyny and incited outrage from people across all political spectrums. Karoline Leavitt, Donald Trump's 27-year-old press secretary, was targeted by the longtime co-host, who implied that her appearance was the only reason she was hired, and that her credentials were unimportant. "I believe she's likely included because Donald Trump says she's a 10, Behar remarked, her words laced with disdain. Viewers on both the left and the right responded angrily and instantly. Many called out Behar for the astounding hypocrisy of a woman who claims to support female empowerment, yet reduces a young, successful political strategist to nothing more than her appearance. This was not merely a cheap shot at Leavitt. Rather, it was an insult to all women who have fought for recognition based on their hard work, talent, and intelligence." Behar's remark completely contradicted everything The View purports to stand for, and many people quickly pointed this out on social media. One Twitter user encapsulated the indignation perfectly. "Karoline Leavitt was hired because of her appearance, according to Joy Behar. Isn't this the exact definition of sexism? What truly made this controversy stand out was how Leavitt handled it. Many expected her to dismiss Behar's sexist remark or steer clear of conflict entirely. But instead, she did the exact opposite. With poise, confidence, and hard facts, she completely dismantled Behar's baseless attack. The View supposedly stands against sexism, yet the irony was impossible to ignore. Leavitt was prepared, but Behar thought she could get away with making a cheap, dismissive comment this time. What transpired next left the audience frantically trying to repair the damage. "I believe she's likely included because Donald Trump says she's a 10, Behar said, launching a torrent of criticism that went well beyond conservative circles. The uproar focused not just on the remark itself, but on the person who made it. People from all political backgrounds weren't going to overlook Behar's blatant hypocrisy in reducing a young, successful woman to nothing more than her appearance. Behar has long been an advocate for feminism and female empowerment. In an age when women are still fighting for recognition in politics, business, and the media, hearing a self-described feminist disparage another woman in such a shallow manner infuriated critics. They wasted no time in calling her out, asking how someone who claims to champion women's accomplishments could openly disparage another woman on such trivial grounds. Behar's comment wasn't just an insult to Leavitt. It was a slap in the face to all women who have worked hard to establish a career based on their abilities, intelligence, and dedication. Social media erupted in anger, and the backlash was swift and extensive. One Twitter user aptly expressed the frustration. "Karoline Leavitt was hired because of her appearance, according to Joy Behar. Isn't this the exact definition of sexism?" The irony was unavoidable, and Behar's defenders were nowhere to be seen. But Karoline Leavitt didn't just brush off the insult. Many expected her to avoid the controversy or ignore Behar's sexist remark, but she took a different approach, leaving The View utterly unprepared. Instead of merely reacting, Leavitt intelligently and methodically refuted Behar's accusation. She responded with facts and unwavering confidence rather than resorting to cheap comebacks or emotional outbursts. By the time she was done, she remained poised and unshaken, refusing to be intimidated. Even Whoopi Goldberg, who frequently jumps to defend her co-hosts, looked momentarily stunned by Leavitt's commanding response. When Goldberg tried to interrupt, Leavitt didn't flinch. Instead, she remained firm, refusing to let the panel deflect or distort the conversation. Viewers immediately took note, and many praised Leavitt's composure on social media, calling it one of the most decisive and commanding takedowns seen in a political discussion on mainstream television in years. It was obvious that Leavitt wasn't going to be bullied, and she wasn't going to let The View get away with its double standards. But instead of merely defending herself, Leavitt completely turned the tables, calling out The View's long history of hypocrisy toward women. The View likes to say that they are all about empowering women, but the moment a woman doesn't share their leftist views, they denigrate her in the exact manner that they claim to oppose. Her remarks struck a chord because they were undeniably true, and this wasn't just a passing comment, it was a direct challenge to the show's legitimacy. By exposing this blatant double standard, Leavitt forced viewers to reconsider whether the show's so-called feminism truly supports all women or only those who share their political views. Based on the overwhelming support for Leavitt online, it's clear that many people saw the show for what it is, a platform that claims to uplift women while tearing down those who dare to think differently. Leavitt also highlighted a clear pattern of behavior, pointing out how the show had repeatedly used the same tactics against other conservative women like Kayleigh McEnany and Sarah Huckabee Sanders. When Goldberg launched into a tirade about wokeness, she lost control of the conversation, which quickly spiraled into chaos. Citing Karoline Leavitt's past remark, "There will be no wokeness here," Goldberg responded with a scathing rant, insisting wokeness is vital for societal progress. However, in her emotional outburst, she overlooked a key point. Wokeness has become a divisive ideology that often alienates rather than unites. Her patronizing tone reinforced a common criticism, that wokeness can seem elitist and dismissive of differing views. Rather than weakening Leavitt, The View's hosts only discredited themselves. Within hours, clips of Behar's sexist remarks and Leavitt's poised, fact-based response went viral, igniting bipartisan backlash and exposing the show's blatant bias. The controversy quickly spread beyond social media, with multiple outlets spotlighting The View's latest scandal and its declining credibility. Even those who disagreed with Karoline Leavitt politically acknowledged that Joy Behar's remarks were inappropriate, praising Leavitt's composed and sharp response. ABC executives were reportedly blindsided by the backlash and are growing frustrated with Behar, raising questions about her future on the show. There's a fine line between sparking debate and alienating viewers, and this time, The View has clearly crossed it. ABC knows it. More than just a single controversy, this incident reflects a broader shift in public perception of legacy media. She may be at risk now, an insider revealed, as ABC leadership weighs whether Behar is worth the ongoing PR disasters. What stood out most was the overwhelming support for Leavitt, even from those who typically oppose her views. Social media was flooded with praise for her poise, showing that, regardless of politics, many respected the way she stood her ground. It was an obvious message. People have had enough of biased stories, blatant hypocrisy, and media personalities who have avoided accountability. As one observer put it, the bipartisan backlash reveals a deeper frustration with media platforms like The View, which claim to champion women's empowerment, but routinely withhold that support from conservative women. Even some prominent liberal commentators couldn't ignore Joy Behar's blatant hypocrisy. The View believed they were setting the agenda, but instead they exposed their own bias this time, and the entire world was watching. Simply put, it's disgusting to reduce Karoline Leavitt's accomplishments to her appearance. What was Behar thinking? You don't have to agree with her, but this wasn't just a victory for Leavitt. It was also a wake-up call for viewers fed up with the double standards of the mainstream media. As public support for Leavitt grew, chaos broke out behind the scenes at ABC. Insiders claim that network executives were caught completely off guard by the outcry and are now frantically trying to contain the fallout. Word has it that ABC executives are seriously considering a major shakeup due to the ongoing controversies Behar stirs up. The show thrives on heated debate, but there is a fine line between generating discussion and completely alienating the audience. And right now, Behar is dangerously close to crossing it. The View's ratings have already been declining, and controversies like this only make things worse. Advertisers are beginning to get nervous, wondering if the show is worth the risk. The Karoline Leavitt controversy revealed a pattern that is all too familiar. What happened to her on The View isn't an isolated incident. Rather, it represents how conservative women are treated by mainstream media. From Kayleigh McEnany to Sarah Huckabee Sanders to Elise Stefanik, we've seen intelligent, articulate conservative women repeatedly disregarded, insulted, or discredited outright due to their political beliefs. Media figures love to talk about women's empowerment, but when it comes to women who don't share their views, their support abruptly stops. Instead of engaging in meaningful conversations or recognizing their achievements, they resort to insulting language and personal attacks. This blatant double standard not only harms the women who are targeted, but it also calls into question the fundamental principles of equality and feminism that these media outlets claim to uphold. The backlash against The View suggests that viewers are becoming increasingly aware of this hypocrisy, and they are no longer staying silent. Instead of merely defending herself, Karoline Leavitt used The View's attack to expose the deeper bias in mainstream media. This isn't just about one episode or controversy. It's about how conservative voices, particularly women, are treated in spaces that claim to support diversity and empowerment. With ABC scrambling to contain the damage and viewers demanding accountability, will The View be forced to reconsider its strategy at last? Or will they simply double down on their divisive tactics? They might find it harder to recover from this controversy, but one thing is certain: Karoline Leavitt emerged stronger than ever. If you liked this breakdown, please hit the bell for notifications and like the video. I'll see you in the next one.